Okay, I'm here with another video. This time I'm going over the new booster pack template that I just finished up. This is based off the Photoshop template from Honchcrow David, but I know a lot of people have trouble with Photoshop, or just don't have Photoshop. So I've implemented it in MSE as best as I could. It won't be quite as good as the Photoshop template, but it's got a lot of things going for it. So first, let's grab a card image that I've pulled up over here. Put that in the image. So that's already been made the right size. And so now you can see we've got some automatic text for us. Up in the top corner we've got age, and at the bottom 15 cards booster pack. That's automatically generated on a new pack, but you can edit this if you want. Maybe you just want to get rid of that text altogether. Or maybe you want to do a 17 card pack. Whatever you feel like. And then at the top here we've got the magic logo. By default this is on a light mode, but you can flip this to a dark mode for if you have a really light image, or just disable it if you don't want it there. I want it on the light mode for this pack. And down here we've got two text boxes. This first one is big one for like a set name, for like if you put Ikoria, and then down here is a smaller one for like layer of behemoths. I'm going to make an actual set pack here, so for Scala Blood and Iron. And then behind that there is a box, and you can see it's a rarity box, but right now the rarity image has been made invisible. We'll get back to that. And then last thing here is just the illustrator field. Now if we look at our options here, there's quite a few here. Our first one is the fringe color. So that's the top and bottom here. You can change that. There's a couple of presets if you want to make that white or whatever. But the default option is none. If you turn that on, it makes the image that you put in here extend all the way to the top and bottom of the card, or of the pack rather, which is kind of more of what like newer Magic packs have been doing. But if you don't have an art that nicely fits that, like I don't, maybe you want to put one of these fringes on. I want to put a silver fringe on it. Actually, I want to put on something different. I want to put like a dark gray on there. There we go. And then the next one is the title color. So normally that'll be on black. That doesn't suit this art very well, so maybe we want like a white or a silver. And then on down the line for card color, for the age color, for the artist color. And so our next one is small text over title. Right now it's set to no, so the small text is just underneath the title. But if we flip that to yes, you can see those two text boxes switch around. So that's good if you've got like War of the Spark and you want Spark to be really big. And then our next option is text texture mode. We'll be getting back to that one more in depth. It's a little bit involved, but it lets you do some cool stuff with the text. Next one's simpler font sizes. That lets you change the font sizes for each of the, in order, the big text box, the small text box, the card count, like the card booster pack text and the age text. Mostly use those if you have like a really long set name. Maybe it stretches past the edges of the pack and you need to shrink down the font size. I think that card booster pack looks maybe a little bit too big for this. So let's shrink that down. So we'll put down a comma, so it leaves the first one at the default size. Second comma will leave the next one at the default size, and then 26. That looks good, 26. And then if we did the next one, it would change the age, but we don't need to do that. And then our next option is Rarity Opacity. This is where we can turn the rarity on. This takes a number from 0 to 100. So if we turn it to 100, that makes the rarity completely opaque. Normally, if you're using this, I would guess you probably want it around like 70-ish. So you can see it, but it's got quite a bit of transparency to it still. I don't actually want to use the rarity symbol, I think. Maybe I'll use it later. We'll see. And then most of the rest of our options here are placements. they let us change the exact coordinates of each of these little pieces that we've got here. So maybe you look at the big logo at the top there and you say, actually I want to move that more like towards the middle of the pack. So the coordinates here in order are the left, the top, then the width and the height, and then a rotation. So if we want to move that to just the middle of the pack, let's move that to like 500. And so maybe that's a nicer spot. And maybe you decide you want to make that a little bit smaller, so maybe like 400 by 150 or something. And then maybe you just want to give that a little bit of a spin. Put it, the last number there will kind of rotate it around whatever angle you want. And then that same thing applies to each of these here, with the artist placement also moving the little paintbrush around, even if you spin it around. Oh, if I click the right buttons. There we go. So you can spin it around and the paintbrush will follow. And then also the inverted comma symbol for if you use that and you want to use your common symbol. Now if we go back to that text texture mode. So right now it's set to off. And that just means that your title text here is the base color. If we click this option here, we see there's a bunch of text here. Most of this is instructions for how you're going to use this, for when you don't have the video guiding you. So what we want to do is first switch to masking. Now this is going to change our pack image, so we only have our title text and it's in white, black and white. So now what we can do is go back to our cards, and you either export your card image or you can copy it and paste it over in like Paint. And then you'll either copy it from Paint or you'll import it in a minute here. We want to switch to import mode. Now this is going to open up a new image. And so now we either paste what you had from Paint or double click and upload the card image that you saved. So now we have that same image there. Now we switch to texture. This is going to open up a different image. What we want to do with that is get a texture file. So I've got this flame texture that I've saved. So let's copy that. And we'll paste that over in MSE. And so now when I flip this to on, it will apply the texture to the text there. So instead of just whatever solid color, you actually get this texture effect, which MSE normally isn't able to do. But since we've gone through all these weird steps, we've able to apply that. And then for one step further, this one does require you to use some kind of image editor. We can add a border outside of that. So instead of importing this basic mask, let's go over to GIMP here. So this is the mask that we had. If we use the magic wand here and click the big black part here, now we want to shift click inside the letters, like the A's and the B's and the D's, and get all of those black parts in there selected. Okay. Now once all that's done, we'll go to select and grow. And I found that the best pixel length here is 2. For some letters, or for some words, maybe 3 will be good. But for like S's and G's, where there's these little narrow parts, growing it to 3 pixels makes it look really bad. So for this one, at least, we're gonna grow by 2, and then we're gonna delete and get our bucket and fill that with black. And so now you can see it's the same text there, but now it's a little bit skinnier. So now we'll select all that and copy it. And now we're on import mode, and we'll paste that skinnier one in there. And so since that's skinnier, when we switch this to put the texture on, there's now a little bit of a border around it. And if you change the title color, you'll change that border that's around it. So black, and now it's very black, and gold, and now it's got that gold to it. Put that back on silver. And so there is, in just a couple minutes, a very nice looking pack for scale art, and hopefully a nice looking pack for whatever you're doing. Hope you enjoy.